Hello, hello, hello. This morning I want to talk about rekindling the fire in your heart. It's a call to the woman who knows that there's more. I remember being in that place thinking there has to be more. There just has to be. And so I want to ask some questions and let's do some reflection this morning. Have you ever sensed that deep inside something was stirring, something that God had maybe planted in you long ago that hadn't fully come to life? I remember the Lord called me into ministry and began to talk to me about teaching his word when I was 17. But I really didn't embrace that completely or fully. I mean, I taught Sunday school and did some other things, which I'm not making light of those. Those are very valuable. But when my life completely fell apart when I was age 38, I took a second look at what God had said to me when I was 17, when a very trusted person said to me that God's calling was irrevocable, right? It wasn't dependent on whether we were perfect or whether we did things the right way. So maybe you, like I did for many years, spent your time pouring into others, serving faithfully, holding your family and your community together, and only to wake up one day and wonder, what about me? And that's the nice way to say really what happened to me. When my life completely fell apart, I was asking a lot of questions like, what about me? So maybe you've done all the right things. That wasn't me, but maybe that was you. And maybe you've checked all the boxes, and yet your spirit and your soul just feels dry and disconnected. And there's more, and you know that you're right. So let me just speak this truth into your spirit. There is a fire inside of you. It may only be embers, it may be just burning lowly. What that fire represents truly is God's purpose within you, a holy spark that no one else carries. No matter your age, your past, how stuck you may feel, it's not too late to stoke that fire, to reawaken it. And I want to say, if you're breathing, you're not done. God has not forgotten you. And in this season, it can be the beginning of the most powerful chapter of your life. So, as I talk about these things, I think it's also very important that I don't tell you what to do, because your call, your purpose, your desires are different than mine. God made us different, and I celebrate those differences. I'm all about helping people to become who God created them to be, not helping them to become like me, right? There's already one of me. We don't need more than one of me. But I think there's some questions that I want to share, 4 or 5 questions with you this morning that I'd like you to really think about. First of all, if you're a journaler, pull out your journal. If you're not a journaler, think about these. If you'd like a list of these questions, hit me up and I will be happy to send them to you. The first question I want to ask is, what stirs you? What makes your eyes light up and your heart come alive? That isn't just passion, it's a clue to what your purpose is. I remember people who used to come to me since I've been a little girl and ask me for advice, or ask me or tell me what their troubles, and then ask me what I think they should do. That's been since I was a very little girl. And I was always the person that gave people advice. And I didn't really realize that that was a piece of what God had called me to do, and part of the gift that he put in within me, until years later, until someone helped me reveal some of those giftings. Second question, what have you always wanted to do, but you never gave yourself permission to try? You see, what's holding you back? Fear, guilt, time. Maybe you think, who am I? That's the big question we as women ask ourselves. So ask the Lord what one step you could take today towards that thing that you want to do, but you've not really ever stepped out into. What's the one thing that you can do today? Thirdly is, when was the last time you really felt fully alive? Now, this is a really tricky question, because if I'd asked myself this question when I was 38, I would have thought never. I didn't even really know what fully alive meant. But for you, if you're in the place where at one point you had an alive period moment, think about where you were and what you were doing. who you're with, and God may be highlighting the environments where your fire thrives, right? Were you alone? Were you in a Christian setting, in a gathering, in an assembly? Were you in a ladies' meeting? Were you in what were you in your Sunday school class? What was it? Where were you? Did you that the environment made you feel fully alive? The next thing I want you to think about is what battles have you already won? And we talk about this a lot in my mentoring group because all we have to do is be one step ahead or really just have something in our life that we've overcome in order to be able to share with other people. Every person who is saved has a testimony. Nobody can argue with your testimony. It is your testimony. And we don't recognize the power in our testimony. The Bible says in Revelation that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, our salvation, right? And the word of our testimony. And so even sharing what God has done. So what battles have you already won? Your testimony carries power, and you are the evidence to the world of survival, of overcoming, of the power of the Lord. And who do you know that's around you who needs your story to believe that freedom is possible? I had this big question that I've really never answered. Someday I maybe will stumble upon it. How do you explain freedom to someone who's never been free? What is it like to be free? And the last question I want to ask for you today to think about is what would you attempt if you weren't afraid of failing? Don't let your fear be your decision maker, right? Ask the Lord for courage and clarity. What is it that if money was no object and you weren't afraid of failing, what is it that you would do? That really gives us a clue of what makes our heart come alive. So here's the truth. You have that, maybe have that flame inside you, but it may have dimmed, but it never died. And you were created for impact. You carry the world's need or needs somewhere within you. And it's time to fan the flame, not just for yourself, but for those people that you are called to minister to help, to serve, to care for, to love, to influence, to lead. They're waiting for you. So let me ask you one more thing, sister friend. What is the one small step that you can take to rekindle that fire today? God is whispering into your heart right now that this encouragement to do it, right? And you're not too old, you're not too late, and you're right on time for the purposes of God. God is outside of time. He's not as worried about time as we are. So let's walk this out together, right? I'd love to hear what's stirring in your heart. I'd love to hear what fire you're ready to rekindle. Share below and let's encourage one another as a community of women who are saying yes to freedom and to boldness and to the fullness of who God created us to be. So you're not alone and you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. That's what She Blooms community is about. It's helping you to get the tools and the equipping of what you need to move you even further into what God has designed you, called you, and purposed you to do. So again, as I've said, you don't have to do this by yourself. So let's walk this journey together and let's do it all on purpose, for purpose, on fire. God bless you and have a fabulous day.